Okay, great. So as Evan mentioned, I'm here to talk to you today about creating a world-class customer service organization. I, like probably many of you on the phone call today, have spent the bulk of my career managing customer service or customer support operations. I ran customer support and field service operations for a large global automotive manufacturer and for a $100 million public safety software company, among other companies. My real interest from the Salesforce side of the house came in my operational management experience. For two different organizations, I implemented Salesforce Service Cloud. So between that implementation as a customer and my Salesforce consultant experience, I have been working on the Salesforce platform, specifically the Service Cloud platform, for over 12 years. With 7 Points GSI, I'm responsible for the service delivery arm of our organization. So that means any Salesforce Service Cloud projects or projects that we have, I'm responsible for helping to make sure that those are delivered, meeting our high level of standards. Okay. We have over 70 plus certified Salesforce professionals who are spread across the nation. Our offices, or our planned offices, are, as you can see on this slide. And we have Salesforce, of course, certified consultants. In addition to having Salesforce certified consultants, I think the biggest kind of value add that we have is our consultants have a variety of experience, not only on the Salesforce platform, but in service, support, and sales operations. So that really means not only do they know how to configure the platform or the technology, but they really understand the business process surrounding the technology, or what it is that the technology is designed to enable. And I think that's, as we'll talk about in a little bit, what really helps you to deliver a world-class customer organization. But before we can talk about building a world-class customer service experience, I think it's important that we really have a clear understanding of what is it that is the role of the service and support arm of an organization. I think first and foremost, it's important to recognize and understand that that team or that department is really the voice of your customer base internally to your organization. So they have the most interactions with your customers. So if you think about it in the entire life cycle of having a customer, your sales organization has a significant amount of time up front in managing that relationship and acquiring that customer. But it's that customer service and support organization that is talking to those customers on a regular basis once the sale is complete and through the entire life cycle. So, yep, they hear a lot from your customers. They are the voice of the customers internally, but also they are the face of your business or the face of your organization to your customers. So those folks are the first chance at making a lasting impression. Those are the folks where trust and credibility in your relationship with that organization is built. And they have the opportunity to really bolster your brand image in all of the interactions that you have. The problem is they also have the opportunity to make the opposite effect if they are not really delivering on the brand image that you want conveyed. So good service and support organizations understand that their team is the face of the organization, and really try to adjust their organization to make sure they're maximizing that investment. The problem is, right, it doesn't always work. So as you can see from this slide, a lot of times customers try to avoid contacting organizations for support. Really, because for them, it is often inconvenient. Maybe you're not open during the hours upon which they want to call you. or interact with you. Maybe it is time consuming, because when I do finally get in touch with someone in the service and support organization, they don't have a good understanding of me as a customer. They don't have an understanding of the relationship that I have with your business. They have to spend a lot of time trying to find answers to the questions that I'm asking. They have to search through many disparate systems. And as you can see, like, there's just a multitude of reasons why customers today aren't actively engaging, with your organization. So that's the customer side of the business. On the internal side of the equation, right, support organizations often find a lot of challenges in actually trying to solve those problems. Because if you know what the issues are, if you know it's time consuming for your customers to get a hold of you, or if you know that it's difficult for your team to find the answer to the problem, you know how to solve those problems. And sometimes a great technology solution is the way to do that. The problem with that is customer service support organizations are continuously facing a lot of challenges internally. Some organizations out there, unfortunately, still view their service and support teams as cost centers, right? They don't directly generate new revenue for the company, so they're constantly being asked to justify what is the value that you're bringing to our business. How productive is your customer service and support team? What expense is it that you're causing the organization? And without the ability to really kind of show a direct correlation to return on the investment, some organizations are leery of investing in new tools and technologies. And unfortunately, all that does is really propagate the problem that you have in your ability to deliver a world-class customer experience, right? Because like we said, a lot of your team is working in the dark. They don't have access to key information. They oftentimes don't have the empowerment to make business decisions. There's just a number and variety of reasons why they are not able to deliver the world-class customer experience that you want. So let's just say you have an organization that is looking for a way to solve that problem, and they recognize the vital role that service and support plays in your business. They recognize that your customer support organization is the face of your business to the customer. Now you need to deliver a game plan on how it is that you are going to be able to deliver that vision for your organization, okay? And so what we really think that you need to do is understand the pressure points in your organization, and understanding how the investment that you make in this team and the technology that you implement can really relieve some of those pressures for your organization. So most often, the organizations and the businesses recognize that they need tools and technologies to simplify and automate the ways in which you interact with your customers. And oftentimes they recognize the problems that they want to solve or the answers to the questions that they want to receive. So let's assume that your organization is ready to do that. I want to talk to you about how a Salesforce Service Cloud solution can help you answer those questions and really flip that slide we looked at earlier, right? Flip it so that your customers want to engage with you and that you give them an easy and effective way to do that. So you can do that really by picking a technology solution. In this case, we're going to talk about Salesforce. But before you can go ahead and implement any type of service tool, you really need to identify the key business problems that you're trying to solve, okay? And then really think about your business processes before you implement those technologies. Are those business processes working for you today? If those business processes are inefficient or they are not effective, putting a technology solution against those business processes isn't going to make you any more efficient, right? It's just going to really magnify the issues that you have. So really, before you implement any technology, what you want to do is think about those processes, optimize those processes and workflows where it makes sense. And in doing so, the biggest thing to developing a world-class customer service organization is to think about those processes that you want to make more efficient from a customer's perspective. How do they make our interaction less painful? How do I more quickly get the right answer to the customer in a method or manner or media that they appreciate? How do I solve their issue or request on the first contact? And in doing so, by answering all of those questions with your focus on the customer-facing side of it, not necessarily the agent side of it, you're going to deliver that world-class customer experience and make the agent side that much easier, right? I've seen a lot of organizations that focus on internal items more than they focus on solving the customer's problems, and that leads to not the optimal results that they're hoping for. Okay? So in a Salesforce solution, the easiest way and the best way to do that is through the use of the Service Cloud technology, okay? The foundation to any great customer relationship management system for support is understanding the business and the people that you do work with. So Salesforce gives you that foundation and then gives you what's called the case management object, which we'll talk about here in a second, that gives you the case management object to pull together information about a specific item all into one place, okay? And if your organization is already using Salesforce from a Sales Cloud perspective, adding on the case management component is a fantastic way to give everyone in your organization, sales and service people together, a holistic view of that customer relationship. And that really is the foundation of delivering a world-class customer service organization. So we talked about it a bit earlier, and I want to break it down into a few other kind of small components. If I am a member of your customer service and support team, and I engage in looking at my customer relationship management system when you call me, I immediately have an understanding of who you, the customer, are. I have an understanding of what products and services you have purchased from us. I have an understanding of how frequently you have contacted us, what our answers and responses to you have been. If you've taken any surveys, I have a good understanding of what your view or perspective of our business is. All right, so really getting that 360-degree view of the customer puts you in a position to proactively manage that customer and give them the best experience that you can talk about. Once you have that basis in place, right, you can add on different products and services that allow you to manage that customer in more detail. And so we're going to talk about those here coming up. The first one is the case management piece of the business. So if I am Nina DeMeglio from company A and I want to interact with you, I might interact with you because you have a web form on your website that gives you the ability to allow customers to request service and support. And if I fill that form out, with a Service Cloud solution, I have a case automatically generated in the system for Nina DeMeglio with all of the content that she's filled out on her web form mapped to specific fields and attributes on a case record in Salesforce. And if I already know that Nina is a customer of mine, I have that web form automatically attached to Nina and that case record created, immediately saving a lot of back and forth between maybe that form going to an email today or getting lost in your system. The same thing applies to multiple ways in which you communicate to your customer. You can have an email to case integration. So if you have any type of email addresses out there that come to a shared email box, let's say, and you're running into problems with individuals either losing those emails and no one responding to the customer, thereby causing a very poor customer experience, or on the flip side of it, multiple people responding to the same customer, oftentimes with different answers, causing a negative response, that can all be eliminated by the email to case construct that is available in Salesforce. Those are what I would call kind of just two foundational items, but any channel that you communicate your customers with can be integrated into Salesforce. So if you have live agent or any other type of chat with your customers, those can be created and recorded in Salesforce. If you have a phone system and you opt to do a computer telephony integration, those can be automatically screen popped to the agent's screen and cases automatically created and recorded. The value of this automation is multiple fold. Not only does it solve the issues that I talked about, such as either too many people responding to the customer or not enough people responding to the customer, it has a record of that interaction. So if that case is created and a customer calls back and says, I sent an email and no one responded, you now automatically have a record of that and can provide that customer with the updated information right there on the spot without having to transfer them to another individual or hunt and peck or search around in your email boxes for those things. A well-defined, well-thought-out case management system also helps your customer service organization understand what to focus on and when. And what I mean by that is there's typically a very streamlined support process that requests go through when they come into your customer support organization. And the first interaction is pretty easy, right? The customer sends me a request either for assistance or to solve a problem or to ask me a question. And if I can reply back to them and get them the answer on the first try, that's fantastic. That's a great customer experience. They're happy, we're happy, that issue is closed, and it would be called, a first contact closure. The challenge many organizations face is that that's not always the case, right? Oftentimes, the issue might come in and it's a challenging item that requires some research or requires you to get an update on a status from a different department, or perhaps the customer filled out an email and didn't give you or provide you with enough information to resolve their problem, and also didn't provide you with a contact information via phone. You're going to have to reply back to their request via email, sending them an email from Salesforce. And that's great. You've done your part, but now that case is kind of gone and sitting by the wayside waiting for a customer to get back to you. Well, oftentimes, some of the challenges that customers face with your organization is that email gets lost. You put the onus on them to send you information back, and you don't have a good mechanism in your system to follow up. Did they reply back to you? How long has it been since you requested that information from them? When do you want to reply back? That's where a lot of the automated alerts, updates, notifications, and workflows that you can automate in the Salesforce system will help you as an organization to keep on track of your customers' requests, where they are in the customer lifecycle, and proactively get back to those customers instead of waiting for them to reactively respond to you. Again, causing them some better overall satisfaction. The case management option at its foundational level also gives you the ability to really automate some manual and repetitive work that your team does. That's really, really effective from a efficiency perspective. You can automate certain tasks. You can send out auto notifications of emails. If you haven't had a response in an X number of days, you can send a reminder or a warning. If you put in a number of attributes on a case that would automatically give it a different designation. For example, if I said a case of a type of frequently asked question, always with an email sent is always a closed case, I could automate the process to change the status to close. Really eliminating some of that manual and repetitive work, freeing up some time for your customer support agents and making them available to get in touch with your next customer immediately. Okay? And the case management solution also gives you a full context of that case. In chronological order, it will store the back and forth of email conversations you've had with your customers. It will put all relevant case information in one place, and it will allow that information to be shared across the team. So from a customer perspective as well, what's one of the highlights of wanting to make that experience more palatable for your customers if they do indeed need to contact you, is if I need to contact you the next day about a case that I talked to, if I as a customer, Nina, want to talk to Jennifer at your organization about an issue, and the next day I have another question about that issue and I call back and I don't happen to get Jennifer on the phone, I want to make sure that Matt on the line who answers my call has full access to my case and can answer that case without having to rely on me getting back in touch with Jennifer. Because Jennifer could have been moved on to a new assignment, could be on vacation, could be busy with another customer call. And I want to have the ability, by having a solution all in one place, to provide that support immediately and give the customer the answer they need so that their day can move forward without having to wait on me, the organization. Okay? So that's a lot of words, and it's hard to understand what that value means. But here's an example of what a very simple, kind of straightforward Service Cloud solution could look like in Salesforce in the console view, right? It gives me access to the account that this case is associated with, the contact, the individual requesting assistance, gives me access to key attributes about the case. Where is it in its life cycle? Where did the case originate from? What type of case is it? And if you were to see the full view of the screen, there would be very specific information about the subject and the description of the case and maybe some disposition items. It can also give me a list of items that are related to this specific case. In this case, I have a document, a file associated to the case. That might be, if you're in the process of delivering a technical support help desk, an error file. Or it could be, if you're in the banking industry, right, a document that the customer received that they're having trouble filling out. It could be any number of files associated to this case. The way, again, this system is set up, I get really broad details about the case right here at the top. This is what's called the highlights panel. And if I were to click on this activity button, I'd have the ability to log a call, send an email, or log a follow-up task to this case. Maybe the customer received the answer that they want, but I told them I would follow up with them in 14 days. I could log a task to this case to call them back in 14 days and automatically be reminded that I had that task to follow up with the customer in 14 days. Again, giving the agents everything they need at their fingertips, helping them to find information quickly and pass it along to the customer, thereby making that experience for the customer one of great ease. On the left-hand panel here, I have a knowledge base implemented for this customer. So I have a number of articles that might be relevant to solving this case. And as I'm inputting keywords on the case, suggested articles are going to start to pop up here on the left, and I'll talk about knowledge in a minute. Or I have the ability to search the knowledge base by keywords to really help me narrow down any knowledge articles that might help me to resolve this customer's issue in a much more succinct manner. So, you know, on the previous slide, I talked about knowledge very briefly, but I didn't talk in too much detail about what setting up a knowledge base in a Salesforce instance would look like and how that relates to really delivering world-class customer support. And really what a knowledge base is a consolidation of information that could be used to solve a customer issue. And your organization probably has such systems or a number of systems, but from a customer experience perspective, the customer support agent oftentimes has trouble within the organization narrowing down what system it is it needs to find that information. So for example, a recent knowledge implementation that we did consolidated over 15 disparate systems that customer service agents had to access to find an answer to a single problem for a customer. What knowledge in a Salesforce solution does is really embed that into one place that can be managed and that can be linked to cases. So I showed you here briefly how you could search the knowledge base and you know, hover over this article and find the solution to a customer's problem. That's great, but what it also allows you to do is share those knowledge articles, if you choose to make them publicly available, with your customers so that they can be provided that information in the form of an email or posted to a customer community, which we'll talk about in a bit, so that they can share that information. Not only if you integrate it with a customer community, does it help promote self-service, it really also helps promote your brand image, because oftentimes customers are receiving responses from your customer support teams that, while the answer may be technically correct, they're not really supporting the brand image that you have. They're not on your customers, on your business's letterhead. They're not using the lexicon that you want to use. They're calling the same thing two different things in a system. So a knowledge-based system really helps you to tightly control what it is that you want to send out to customers. It helps you maximize your agent productivity, therefore your customer satisfaction, because they're getting to answers quickly. And built into any good knowledge management system is the ability to focus on a streamlined knowledge management process. So we have the ability to control who can create articles, who can review and approve them, when can they be published, and how can they be versioned. Another way in which you can really focus on delivering world-class customer service is by automating a number of the processes within your system that can be automated, right? So your teams, by having automated processes in your system, your teams can be focused on solving the customer's issues rather than having to worry about clicking through multiple fields and sending repetitive emails. By letting the system take the appropriate actions when certain criteria are being met, eases the burden on your customer support agents, but also really improves the service you're providing to your customers, because again, they're getting consistent answers to you. They're getting more consistent answers to the problems they're sending. And while this might look a little bit tricky, right, it's really a very, very simple workflow process-based automation, and it allows your system, your Salesforce administrator to really evaluate criteria, take actions, and schedule those actions if they can't happen immediately. So it lets really anyone with good, solid Salesforce administration skills not have to be necessarily a full-blown developer to develop those processes and automations. But if I circle back to the beginning of the slide, right, we talked a lot about how we can help build a world-class customer experience by simply giving the customer support agents the ability to answer questions more effectively, provide more consistent answers and responses to your customers when they do contact you, whether it be phone or a web form or an email. And those are great because you're always going to have customers who contact you in those ways. But another way you can help develop a world-class customer experience is really allowing your customers to help themselves, right? Giving them the ability to serve themselves, find the answers that they need, regardless of how they engage with you, whether it be on a traditional PC, via a tablet or a mobile device. Allow them ways to help themselves, find answers to their questions, maybe via discussions, collaborate with other customers of yours, and having automated case creations and escalations. So a customer community tied to a very well thought out, foundationally based customer service case management solution will really, really help take you to the next level of delivering world-class customer service. So not only could they go to a customer support community and help themselves, what they could do if they couldn't help themselves is have the ability to submit a case straight from the customer community and have that case be tracked in Salesforce. Additionally, the way I would set up a very robust community case-based solution is for cases that they have created themselves, I would give them the ability to come in and check on the status of those cases, see if any progress has been made in managing my customer support issue from a customer service side. I'd give them the ability to post updates to the case that they've created. That's a great advantage. Oftentimes a customer will create a case at, let's say 10 p.m. They'll do some further sleuthing, and at midnight they'll come up with the answer to the question themselves. Well, allowing them to jump on to the customer community, see the case they created, and add a comment there saying, I've solved this problem myself, thanks for your help in solving it, is just another way of case deflection. So really having a strong foundational customer support base tied with a community that allows customers to serve themselves and or update their cases themselves really gives them a full circle customer service experience. And the final thing that organizations want to traditionally do is focus on a key set of metrics and a key set of data that they're capturing as it relates to delivering world-class customer service, and really manage by those metrics, right? Build a metrics-driven culture in which the data you're collecting isn't data for the sake of data. It is data that is constantly measured, analyzed, trended, and actioned upon to continuously improve the experience that the experience that your customers have interacting with you. And that information shouldn't be hidden and only available to a subset of individuals within the organization. Making that performance data available to your customers as it's applicable, to your call center or customer support teams as it makes sense, is really a way in which you can build that customer experience by giving people the insight into the information it is that we're tracking and helping them to make better decisions based on that information. Really what it boils down to, right, as leaders of service and support organizations, and if we can't measure it, if we can't control what we can't measure. So if we want to update and act on items, we have to be able to measure it so that we can improve it and deliver that value to our customers. In the short time that we have, we covered quite a bit of ground, and I could only briefly touch on some of the areas in which you can deliver a customer support organization. So I'm happy to turn it over to you, Evan, or to answer any questions now, however you want to do that.
Okay, great. I will go ahead and take control back. So thank you for that presentation, and then we'll go ahead and do a quick little closeout, and then we will move on to the questions. And everyone, if you are looking for other great educational resources, you can go on to our online resource center on our website at getgsi.com. Create an account and get access to our recorded webinars, presentations, white papers, and much more. You can also sign up to receive our monthly newsletter as well as be notified of our weekly webcasts. So, Nina, I did see that there were a couple questions that came through. So give me 1 second and let me get to those. All right. So the first question, give me one moment, is where does the reminder go for your rep? Is it email or within Salesforce?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it can be configured either way. Salesforce can be configured if a task or a reminder is set up to send the rep an email reminding them of it. My personal preference is that reminder is just set up as a task in their Salesforce organization, because when you're sending out multiple reminders, you really want your support team to be working from within Salesforce to look at their cases, to look at any replies that they're receiving to those cases, and really work from out of Salesforce. Without knowing, the short answer, Evan, and to the individual who asked the question is, it can be set up either way in Salesforce or through email, and it would really depend on your business process and how your reps work to decide what the best place to set that up is.
Okay, great. Another question is that you had mentioned telephone integration. Is that provided out of the box with Salesforce, or do I need a third-party add-on product?
That's great. You would integrate with a third-party telephone provider. There's Salesforce supported phone integrations. There's cloud-based integrations, and there are integrations that are based on the phone system that you already have in place. So I've done both. I've done some where the customer has said, we don't have a phone system in place today, and we've jointly selected a cloud-based phone solution and integrated it with Salesforce, or someone has had a phone system in place and they've worked with their phone provider to select the integration tool. But you do need a third-party solution for both.
Okay, another one is case management functionality standard with Salesforce.com, or do I need to purchase additional licenses?
It's a great question. Salesforce typically has two types of base licenses, Sales Cloud licenses and Service Cloud licenses. Case management as well as the primary sales functions all come standard as part of the Service Cloud license that you would need to purchase, but it would be just your standard license. Things like Knowledge would be an additional feature license. But the base features we talked about, email to case, web to case, email templates, some basic automations, things of that are all standard with the Service Cloud license.
Okay, another question is, how do other departments interact with the support team within Salesforce? Is that captured and viewable on the case?
Yeah, so that's a good question too, and the short answer is it depends, and the slightly longer answer is depending on the other organizations. If they're Salesforce users and they have Salesforce licenses, you can give them permissions to update and edit and or comment on the case directly. Or if they're not, you could email those internal departments or those internal users directly from the case, much like you would a customer, and have those email replies threaded to the case, so you have a record of them in one single place. So truly, it depends on how those departments would be using Salesforce or if they wouldn't be.
Okay, and that does appear. Oh, looks like we got one more that just came in. Does Salesforce offer chat?
Yeah, Salesforce does offer chat. Their kind of standard chat is the live agent integration, but it also integrates with many chat products out in the environment. So there's multiple you could interface with if you have one already selected.
Okay. Well, that does appear to be the end of our questions, Nina. I just wanted to thank you for a great presentation. Everybody, thank you for attending. And you will be receiving an email with a link to our Resource Center where you can download a copy of today's presentation as well as get a copy of the recording. And everybody who stayed for the entire presentation will be entered into a drawing for a $25 Amazon gift card. Nina, we do have a couple more minutes. Not sure if there's anything else you'd want to add about what was shown today.
Nothing specifically that I want to add. I see that you have both of our contact information up there. So if there's any additional questions that come up after, I'm happy to answer those.
Okay. Well, again, everybody, looks like we got one more right before we close out here. Let's see.
Sure.
Someone is asking about if you could talk a little bit more about reporting.
Sure.
I don't know if you have time to do that.
I can give you like the quick 2-minute answer, and then we can wrap up from there.
Okay.
Sure. From a report perspective, the general answer is Salesforce reporting capabilities are very robust. So if the field is captured on the case, we can report on it, and we can do real-time reports. We can do trend reports, but reporting is incredibly robust from a report perspective, and then the dashboards are even more powerful because as a manager or an executive in a customer support organization, there's key metrics that I want to look at all the time. So I would kind of set up those standard reports, develop dashboards for them, and every time I'm logged into the systems, I can get that data in real time available to me at my fingertips, so that I can make decisions on that information. So that's the real short answer. If there's very more specific questions that someone has about reports or dashboards, please feel free to contact me.
Okay, well, great. That does appear to be the end of them again. Nina, thanks for a great presentation. Everybody, thank you for attending and have a great day. Thanks, Nina.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.